Who is Cristiano Ronaldo?
That is probably the most fascinating psychological question in modern sports history.
Welcome, everyone. We are so glad you are joining us for this special documentary-style deep dive.
We really are. And we have a very specific mission today.
Right. We want to be clear about the format. We are framing this deep dive as an engaging English learning experience for you, the listener.
Exactly. So we are going to speak in very clear, slow American English.
We want to help you improve your language skills, while at the same time uncovering the incredible life lessons behind a global icon.
And we have a massive stack of source material to get through today.
We really do. What exactly are we looking at?
Well, we have firsthand interviews with legendary football figures, guys like Sir Alex Ferguson, Zinedine Zidane, and Wayne Rooney.
Wow, so the absolute heavyweights of the sport.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, we are pulling from raw, behind-the-scenes documentaries. We have incredibly detailed statistical breakdowns from UEFA and FIFA.
And we also have Ronaldo's own words, right?
Yes, specifically his unvarnished thoughts from that explosive interview with Piers Morgan.
Okay, so the goal today isn't just to, list off his goals and his trophies like reading a Wikipedia page.
Definitely not. We want to decode the mindset of a boy from a tiny island who essentially willed himself into becoming a footballing cyborg.
A cyborg. I like that word.
Yeah, we are going to explore some really heavy themes: discipline, extreme sacrifice, and just an unbreakable level of self-belief.
People often use this thematic analogy for athletes. They say someone is a diamond forged under unimaginable pressure.
Right, you hear that a lot.
But looking through our sources, that analogy doesn't really seem to fit Ronaldo.
No, it really doesn't, because a diamond is passive, right? It just sits there while the earth crushes it.
Exactly. Ronaldo is more like a machine learning algorithm.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah, he takes every disadvantage, every insult, every physical limitation, and he treats it like a bug in his computer code.
And then he aggressively rewrites his own software to fix it.
Right. So to understand his base code, we have to start at the very beginning. And that means traveling far away from the bright lights of European stadiums.
We have to go to the slums of Madeira.
Madeira is an island, correct?
Yeah, it is a volcanic island located about 800 kilometers off the coast of mainland Portugal.
So very isolated.
Extremely. And, for tourists, it is stunningly beautiful. But for the family of Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro, it was a completely different reality.
A really harsh reality. The sources describe crushing poverty.
Oh, it was bleak. They lived in a house with a tin roof.
And a tin roof means it was basically just cheap metal over their heads.
Exactly. It would literally leak every time it rained. The windows were cracked.
And he had a big family, right?
Yeah, he shared a single, really cramped room with his 3 older siblings.
Just one room for 4 kids. That is intense.
It is. And the financial desperation was just a constant, suffocating thing in their lives.
Which leads to a really harrowing revelation from his mother, Maria Dolores.
This part of the documentary materials is incredibly heavy.
It is. She reveals that the family was so destitute, so poor, that when she got pregnant with Cristiano, she actually attempted to get an abortion.
Right. And, she went to a doctor, but the doctor refused to perform the procedure.
So she felt completely desperate. She thought she literally could not afford to feed another mouth.
Right. So she took matters into her own hands. She drank warm, dark beer, and then she ran for miles until her body collapsed from pure exhaustion.
Wow. She was trying to force a miscarriage.
Exactly. She was trying to end the pregnancy herself.
That is a remarkably difficult thing for a mother to admit to the world. And honestly, it is even harder to admit that to your own son.
Absolutely. Most people would be deeply traumatized by that kind of news.
I mean, yeah. Finding out your mother actively tried to stop you from being born could easily destroy your sense of self-worth.
But this is where his psychological framework is so fascinating.
How did he process that when she finally told him?
He didn't process it with anger or sorrow or anything like that. He weaponized it.
Weaponized it. Like he turned it into fuel.
Exactly. He told her, God didn't want that to happen. That's why I'm here to prove I was meant to live.
Oh, wow. So he reframed a really dark truth.
He took the literal fact of his near non-existence and turned it into a cosmic mandate.
Basically, he survived that ordeal, so he was destined to be unforgettable.
Right. But the shadows over that house didn't end there. We have to talk about his father, José Diniz Aveiro.
Yeah, let's bring up his father. The sources say he served in the Angolan War,
He was drafted into it, yes. It was a brutal colonial conflict for Portugal.
and the conditions for the soldiers were just horrific.
Oh, absolutely terrible. They faced malaria, which is a deadly mosquito-borne disease. They had to eat rotten food.
And they were constantly under the threat of ambushes.
Right. So when Dinas returned to Portugal, the economy was a disaster and he had severe PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes. And of course, back then it was completely untreated. So to cope with the trauma, he turned to heavy alcoholism.
He ended up working some really difficult, low-paying jobs. He was a gardener, and eventually he became a kit man.
Right. A kit man for a local amateur football club called Andarina.
And just for our English learners, let's explain what a kit man is.
Sure. A kit man is essentially the person at the very bottom of the sports club hierarchy.
They do all the unglamorous work.
Exactly. They wash the sweaty uniforms, scrub mud off the boots, pump up the footballs. It is grueling work.
So I have to ask a question here to push back on the narrative a little bit.
Go ahead.
We see this trope a lot in sports. A poor kid, an alcoholic father, and the kid uses sports to escape his bad home life.
Right. It is a common story.
But thousands of kids grow up in extreme poverty with difficult home lives.
Right.
And they don't become global billionaires and superstars.
No, they don't.
So how does a child navigate having a father who is physically present but emotionally lost to alcohol? What made Ronaldo's situation different?
That is the key distinction. Football wasn't just an escape for him. It became their shared language.
I see.
Yeah. Dinas was emotionally lost most of the time, but the one place he was lucid and proud was at that football club.
So he made sure Cristiano always had a ball.
Exactly. Performing well on the pitch was literally the only reliable way for young Cristiano to get his father's focused attention.
So football was his connection to his dad.
Yes. And those dusty dirt pitches and uneven cobblestone streets became his proving ground.
And even back then, playing on the streets, his personality was already formed.
Oh, it was completely unfiltered. He actually earned two very distinct nicknames from the older kids.
The first one was Little B, right?
Yeah, because he was physically tiny compared to the other kids, but incredibly fast. He would just buzz around the pitch.
And what was the second nickname?
Crybaby.
Crybaby. Why would they call him that?
Well, because he would literally sob on the field. If his teammates didn't meet his standards or if they didn't pass him the ball, he would cry.
Wow. Even if they just lost a meaningless street match.
Exactly. He would burst into tears.
You know, that is a really important life lesson for you, the listener, to keep in mind.
How so?
Extreme passion is very often misunderstood as petulance or immaturity early in life.
That is so true. People just saw a spoiled kid throwing a tantrum.
But they didn't see that operating system underneath. The system that demanded absolute perfection.
And that system eventually clashed violently with normal society.
Right. This brings us to the inciting incident of his rebellion. He was 14 years old.
Yeah, he was in a normal school classroom, but his mind was, as always, entirely on football.
And a teacher made a massive mistake.
A huge mistake. The teacher openly mocked his thick Madeiran accent.
Which, to clarify, sounds very different from a mainland Portuguese accent.
Right, and then the teacher went further and made a cruel joke about how poor his family was.
So how did Ronaldo react?
Instantaneously. He picked up a chair and threw it directly at the teacher.
Wait, a literal desk chair?
A literal chair, he threw it right at them. He was expelled from the school on the spot.
I mean, in almost any other context, a kid throwing a chair at a teacher is the end of the road.
Exactly. It usually means juvenile hall.
But instead, he and his mother sat down and made a staggering gamble.
They decided he would just drop out of school entirely, 100% focus on football.
So he burned the boats. He destroyed his only safety net.
He really did. And because of that causal transition, dropping out of school, the stakes were impossibly high when an opportunity finally came.
Right. The opportunity was Sporting CP.
Yes. Sporting is one of the massive clubs in the capital city of Lisbon, and they offered him a trial when he was just 12 years old.
I want you listening to just picture this. A 12-year-old boy at the airport.
It was a heartbreaking goodbye.
Saying goodbye to his mother, flying off to Lisbon. A massive, cold city compared to his tiny island.
And the sources detail how deeply isolated he felt. He cried in his dormitory almost every single day.
Because he missed his family.
Yes, and because the academy kids from the mainland were brutal, they mocked his accent relentlessly.
Oh man, more bullying.
Yeah, it got so bad that sometimes he would just refuse to speak at all.
And money was still a huge issue, wasn't it?
It was incredibly tight. The club fed them, but not enough for growing athletes.
Right. I remember the McDonald's story from the documentaries.
Yeah, late at night, he and his friends would sneak out to a local McDonald's. They would go to the back door and literally beg the employees for any leftover hamburgers.
Begging for leftover food. That is just so humbling.
But this is where the obsession truly begins. He didn't quit.
No, he started sneaking into the gym.
Right, he wasn't allowed to use the pro equipment yet, so he would lift makeshift weights.
And there's that amazing imagery of him practicing free kicks in the dark.
Yeah, after the groundskeeper turned off the field lights, young Ronaldo would be out there kicking balls by the faint glow of the street lamps.
You know, it is kind of like comparing him to an Olympic athlete.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine an athlete training for the Olympics. Well, everyone else around them thinks they're just at a casual summer camp.
Oh, absolutely. He realized so early that talent without grueling labor is completely useless.
But then, right as he's working so hard, he faces this terrifying medical crisis.
Yeah, at age 15, he was diagnosed with racing heart syndrome.
His heart was beating dangerously fast, even when he was just sitting down resting.
Right. And the stakes here were absolute. This could have ended his career before it even started.
If your heart can't handle a sprint, you can't be a professional footballer.
Exactly. So he had to undergo surgery.
They used a laser, right, to cauterize it.
Yes. And for you listening, to cauterize means to burn the tissue to stop the irregular electrical pathways in his heart.
It sounds terrifying for a 15-year-old.
It was, but miraculously, he was back on the training pitch just a few days later.
So it's a few days.
Yeah. And if we analyze this, it perfectly connects to his later superhuman drive.
How so?
Because when you almost lose everything, when your dream is almost taken away by your own body, you never take a single second on the pitch for granted again.
That makes perfect sense. That relentless drive is what led him to an explosive debut in senior football.
Yes, the crucible of Manchester United.
So let's set the scene for this. August 2003.
Right. Sporting CP is inaugurating their brand new stadium.
And to celebrate, they play a friendly exhibition match against Manchester United.
And United at this time, they are the absolute kings. They have seasoned, world-class defenders.
And waiting for them is an 18-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo.
The friendly that changed the world.
He steps onto the pitch, and he absolutely terrorizes the United defenders.
Specifically, a veteran defender named John O'Shea.
Right. The sources say O'Shea was literally dizzy.
Yeah, at halftime, O'Shea was in the locker room gasping for oxygen. He physically could not keep up with this kid.
So what did the United players do?
By halftime, guys like Roy Keane and Rio Ferdinand were basically begging their manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, to sign him.
And Ferguson listened. 6 days later, Ronaldo moves to England for £12.24 million.
And he arrives at Old Trafford.
He arrives with these blonde streaks in his hair, wearing these flashy silver boots.
Right, and he starts doing all these dazzling step-overs.
But they were sometimes ineffective, weren't they?
Yeah, a step-over, for our learners, is when a player swings their foot over the ball without touching it to trick the defender.
It looks cool, but early on, he would do it and then just lose the ball.
Exactly, but this is where Sir Alex Ferguson delivered a masterclass in man management.
Ferguson didn't try to crush Ronaldo's flair, did he?
No, he didn't scream at him to stop. He just demanded one thing. End product?
End product. Meaning, the tricks have to result in a goal or an assist.
Right.
Otherwise, it is just wasted energy.
So Ronaldo starts trying to become a machine.
The training ground legends from this era are insane.
Like tying heavy weights to his ankles during practice.
Oh, yeah. He would practice his stepovers with literal lead weights strapped to his legs.
So when he took them off for a real match, his legs would move like lightning.
And he would stay after practice to hit 100 free kicks.
Every single day. Long after everyone else had gone home.
Yeah, which perfectly transitions to one of my favorite anecdotes. I want to share this story to practice some clear, humorous storytelling for you guys listening.
The Patrice Evra lunch story.
Yes. Patrice Evra was his teammate, and one day, after a grueling morning of training, Ronaldo invites Evra over to his house for lunch.
Now, Evra's thinking, great, this guy is rich, he probably has an amazing chef, we are going to have a massive feast.
Exactly. But Evra sits down at the table, and what does he get?
Plain dry chicken breast?
Just dried chicken.
Yeah.
And some plain salad.
And water.
No juice, no bread.
Nothing. Evra eats it, waiting for the main course. But there is no main course.
That was just the fuel.
And then the second they finish eating, Ronaldo stands up and says, let's play two-touch.
And two-touch is a game where you keep the ball in the air, passing it back and forth, using only two touches.
Right. Everett is exhausted. He just wants to rest.
But Ronaldo makes him play.
Yeah.
And then after that, Ronaldo says, okay, let's go swim. So they swim laps.
Yeah.
And then he makes him go in the sauna.
Evra eventually realizes, and he told the media later, he is a machine.
Yeah, Ever said, if he invites you to lunch, just say no.
It's so funny, but it really shows his relentless drive.
And we see that same drive in the Rio Ferdinand ping pong story.
The table tennis story is legendary.
Rio Ferdinand was a big, tough defender for United. And one day, Rio beats Ronaldo in a game of table tennis in front of the whole team.
Everyone was laughing and cheering for Rio.
And Ronaldo was furious.
So what does he do? He secretly buys his own professional table tennis table.
Right. He hides it at his house. And for 2 weeks, he practices secretly.
He basically analyzed ping pong the same way he analyzed football.
And then he walks back into the locker room, challenges Rio to a rematch in front of everyone.
And completely crushes him.
Right. He absolutely destroyed him.
The life lesson there is pretty clear. True competitors don't accept defeat. They re-engineer themselves to ensure they win the rematch.
But, beneath that robotic exterior, we have to remember he was a very vulnerable young man.
Yes, and we see that clearly in 2005.
Right. His father, Dinas, was dying in a hospital in London. His liver was failing from the years of alcoholism.
And this was right in the middle of a vital stretch of the football season.
But Sir Alex Ferguson pulled him aside.
Yeah, Ferguson told him, take as much time as you need. If you miss key matches, it doesn't matter. Your family is more important.
If we analyze that, it's incredible. The contrast between this deep human empathy and the ruthless business of professional football is huge.
It really is. Most managers would pressure the player to stay.
But Ferguson's loyalty forged an unbreakable bond with Ronaldo.
It teaches us that even elite, high-level leadership requires profound emotional intelligence.
Absolutely. And that bond helped United win the 2008 Champions League.
And Ronaldo won his first Ballon d'Or, the award for the best player in the world.
But after reaching the peak in England, he sought the ultimate pressure cooker.
Right, which leads to the unprecedented transfer.
In 2009, he makes a world record €94 million move to Real Madrid.
Just massive amounts of money.
And the presentation was insane. 80,000 fans packed into the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium.
And they weren't even there to watch a game.
No, they were there just to watch him put on the white shirt and juggle a ball for 5 minutes.
But in Spain, he encountered his greatest challenge, the Messi rivalry.
Yes, the greatest individual rivalry in sports history.
It is so unique because they were at rival clubs, Real Madrid and Barcelona, at the exact same time.
It was like the space race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah, they pushed each other out of the atmosphere because neither of them could bear being in second place.
And the contrast between the two is what makes it so compelling.
Right. Our sources detail this perfectly. Messi is viewed as the natural genius.
He plays like a phantom. It is all instinct and magic.
But Ronaldo is the self-made Terminator.
Exactly. We have this great quote from Wayne Rooney in the sources.
What did Rooney say?
Well, Rooney actually said he prefers Messi's style of play, but he calls Ronaldo an absolute genius in his own right.
Because of his mentality.
Yes. Rooney said Ronaldo is a ruthless killer and that his mentality is completely unmatched in football history.
So how does a manager handle someone with that kind of intense, almost terrifying mindset?
You would think it would be really difficult, right? Managing the unmanageable.
Yeah, you would think you have to constantly motivate him or manage his ego.
But the sources bring in Carlo Ancelotti, his manager at Madrid, and Ancelotti said managing Ronaldo is actually the easiest job.
Wait, really? Why is it easy?
Because you don't need to motivate him, he motivates himself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Ancelotti said his only tactic was to put him on the pitch and not burden him with defensive duties.
Just let him stay up front and do what he does best, score goals.
And the stats from his Madrid era are just absurd.
Let's highlight those stats.
Yeah.
450 goals in 438 games.
More than a goal a game for 9 years.
He won 4 Champions League titles in 5 years.
It is unparalleled dominance.
Zinedine Zidane, another football legend who managed him, was in complete awe of him.
Zidane said Ronaldo is the best player he ever saw.
Not just because of the matches, right?
No, Zidane said it was the training. Every single day in training, Ronaldo would do something new and beautiful that left even Zidane speechless.
That is high praise. But, while his club career brought immediate glory, his international career was a very different story.
Yes, the Portugal national team was a journey of heartbreak and evolution.
It started with tears.
Euro 2004, he was an 18-year-old kid.
They lost the final at home in Portugal to Greece, and he was just openly crying on the pitch.
But jump forward to the 2006 World Cup, and we see a very different Ronaldo.
The famous wink game against England.
Right. Wayne Rooney gets a red card and is sent off the pitch.
Because Ronaldo actively pressured the referee to send his own club teammate off.
And then the cameras catch Ronaldo giving a sly wink to the Portuguese bench.
The English press absolutely hated him for that. They crucified him.
But if you look closely, it showed his utterly ruthless desire to win for his country.
He compartmentalized his club friendships. When he wore the Portugal shirt, he only cared about Portugal.
And Rooney himself actually respected that trait later on.
Which brings us to the crowning achievement of his international career, Euro 2016.
The final against France.
But he gets injured, right?
Yeah.
Just 25 minutes into the game.
A terrible knee injury. He is stretchered off in tears.
For most players, that is the end. You go to the locker room and feel sorry for yourself.
But not Ronaldo. He essentially became the co-manager on the sidelines.
He was limping around the technical area, yelling at the players, motivating them.
He specifically grabbed a substitute player named Eder and told him he was going to score the winning goal.
And Eder actually did.
He did. It is a massive life lesson.
Right. Leadership isn't just what you do when you are the star on the stage.
Exactly. It's how you empower others when you are forced off of it.
And his ability to empower his team kept going, largely because he seemingly defied gravity and time.
His physical feats as he got older were incredible.
Like that header against Sampdoria when he played for Juventus.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
Let's detail this for the listener. He jumped 2.56 meters into the air.
That is incredibly high.
The opposing manager said it looked like he was hanging in the air for infinite time. He compared it to Michael Jordan.
And because of that physical longevity, he started breaking massive international records.
He surpassed Ali Dai to become the all-time leading international scorer.
146 goals for Portugal.
And 923 career goals in total.
And he is aiming for a 6th World Cup in 2026 under manager Roberto Martinez.
But, we have to talk about the bitter return.
The return to Manchester United.
He went back to cement his legacy, but the fairy tale turned dark really fast.
Yes. The Piers Morgan interview really brought this to light.
Ronaldo was in shock at the lack of progress at the club.
He said the gym, the pool, the nutrition, none of it had literally changed since he left in 2009.
And he was deeply frustrated with the new generation of players.
Right. He felt they had everything handed to them easily, and they refused to learn from the veterans.
But underneath the professional frustration, there was a profound human tragedy.
We want to speak about this very respectfully.
Yes. He and his partner suffered the tragic death of their newborn baby son.
It is an unimaginable loss.
And in the aftermath, Ronaldo felt completely betrayed by the media and the club's management.
Specifically, manager Erik ten Hag.
Right. Ronaldo missed preseason training to be with his grieving family and his hospitalized daughter.
But he felt the club doubted his reasons for being away.
Contrast that lack of empathy with how Sir Alex Ferguson treated him decades earlier.
It is a stark difference. It highlights how football has become a cold, corporate piece of meat business.
And it left Ronaldo feeling entirely disrespected.
So he made an exit, a shocking exit.
He became a pioneer in Saudi Arabia.
Right. He initially turned down a staggering €350 million offer, but eventually signed with Al Nassr.
Critics said he was finished. They said he was just taking a retirement paycheck.
But he saw it as a new challenge. And he dragged the entire footballing world's attention there with him.
He proved his sheer gravitational pull.
Absolutely. He became the fastest to 1 million YouTube subscribers, and he is the most followed human on Instagram with over 600 million followers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's synthesize these life lessons for our English learning listener.
I think the first big takeaway is turning pain and disadvantage into unstoppable fuel.
Right. And the absolute necessity of outworking your natural talent.
Yes, because talent alone isn't enough.
And finally, the reality that extreme success requires extreme, often alienating, obsession.
Which leaves us with a lingering thought for you to explore on your own.
What is that?
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo has spent his entire life successfully fighting opponents, fighting poverty, fighting the limits of human biology.
Right, his whole identity is forged in battle.
Exactly. But what happens when the one opponent he can never defeat, time, finally forces him off the pitch?
Can a warrior ever find peace without a war?
It is a fascinating question.
Thank you for listening to this English podcast, Football Legends.